Right. God, I should change, shouldn't I? Never mind. Fluffy hair. At least I'll remember to put a shirt on. As you can see, I've spent absolutely no expense on this. I'm using the camera on my MacBook and the microphone, so I can't even be certain you can hear me. But if it works out, then this might turn into a series of some sort. But who knows? It might not. So that's 6 weeks ago. I was having a perfectly ordinary Sunday when I had what turned out in the end to be an anxiety attack that just wouldn't go away. Which I have occasional anxiety attacks, but normally quick walk around the block settles them down and I'm mellow again, or as mellow as I ever get. And this one just would not settle down. So I dialed 111, being sensible and not wanting to call out an ambulance for something that I wasn't sure was serious. And 20 minutes later, the paramedics were here because they escalated it, because it turns out that the NHS takes chest pain really seriously, which I'm in favour of. Oh, I'm going to have to cut a lot of ums and ahs out of this, aren't I? I am rubbish at working with a script, but anyway. See, another one. So, let's see. The next thing I knew was the paramedics had stuck needles, or not needles, sticky things for ECG machines all over me, taken my blood pressure, which was through the roof. It was ludicrously high, especially for me, because I generally have very low blood pressure. And tucked in there, they did the stabby thing in the end of my thumb to do blood glucose, and that came up with a reading of 13, which apparently normal is 8-ish. So my blood glucose was well up, and my blood pressure was going through the roof, and my heart was racing. And so they took the choice, the paramedics took the choice, I had to go into A&E, so this thing that had started as a slightly concerning discomfort had been taken seriously by the NHS, because that's what the NHS does, and we can do that sort of thing without fear because we don't have to pay for our healthcare. So I went off to A&E, had yet more sticky things stuck to me, more ECGs done, more blood tests done, mostly, well, in fact, exclusively related to whether or not I was having a heart attack or developing a blood clot, or there was a third one that I can't remember off the top of my head, because it turned out there was nothing serious going on, which, yay. And I'm sure my brother was absolutely delighted to have to come to pick me up from Milton Keynes Hospital. I think it was 2:30 in the morning in the end. Got home, went to bed, made a mental note to make a GP appointment just for follow-up. But also in my head, that stabby end of finger glucose tester stuck in my mind, because that had never really been picked up further down the road, because it wasn't taken to be part of the potential hearty problems. And the GP decided that I needed to get a blood test, that's the term, to rule out diabetes, or rule it in, as it turned out. And by pure chance, and me noticing that elevated glucose reading, which on the night was not especially significant, has got me a type 2 diabetes diagnosis, which is frankly a bit tiresome. Did the second test, and it's quite interesting. With my GP, you can log onto their system to see your test results. So I was expecting to see this something, can't remember exactly what the term is, it's not in front of me, something hemoglobin anyway, which was flagged as abnormal with the first test. And the first test that came up was a full blood count, and I thought, oh god, they've done the wrong test. Well, it's reassuring to know that I don't have leukemia. That wasn't what I was supposed to be tested for. However, it turns out that when they do the second test, they do a shitload of other tests with a view to making sure your liver and kidneys are working properly. And the result is, and I'm just going to have to go and grab it. No, we'll come back to that in a minute. So the good news is that, more by luck than judgment, my diagnosis was picked up very early. it's quite possible that something that was probably going to happen anyway got a bit accelerated by a long hot summer of a diet largely consisting of ice cream and milkshakes. Slight exaggeration, but not as much as I would like. So it's also, I suppose, theoretically possible that had I just reverted back to my normal non-long hot summer diet, that things might have returned to normal on their own. I don't know how it works. I would have to ask a total specialist about that. I don't know. Net result is that I'm now under fairly firm orders to get a load more exercise, which I'm on board with. It gives me an excuse to take my camera out, for example. And Buckinghamshire, get that right. Buckinghamshire countryside is kind of pretty, really, and it's nice to walk in for the most part. And the walking is generally not too arduous, and I have the advantage of living in quite a small town, so just doing a lap around the town almost counts as my daily exercise, something I might actually give a go. But mostly here I was trying to doing this, I'm sort of trying to sort out my feelings. A few years ago I was treated for depression, and it took a long time for me to realise that I had an issue that needed to be dealt with. Basically in the period after my mum died, which was not that long after my dad died, I shut down. And had Dr. Google been around, I might have recognised the symptoms earlier and got help earlier. Whereas with this, I've had a bit of a stroke of luck in that something which is probably going to be a little bit tiresome for the rest of my life, in that I'm used to... now, I am by nature improvisational, hence no script here, hence the slightly rambling tone. And I'm going to have to get used to a slightly more disciplined approach to eating, to realise that I can't necessarily get through an entire summer on ice cream and milkshake, and get back to cooking for myself, which is something that I haven't done a huge amount of, because in the boiling hot weather the one thing you don't really want to be doing is standing over a hob. Sorry, that was a bit more rambling than it was meant to be. So I have to get a more regular sleep pattern, which again doesn't really come naturally to me. Get more regular eating habits, which don't come naturally to me. And get more exercise, which is something in principle I've wanted to do for quite a while. I probably need to lose a good 1.5 stone of weight. I don't know what that is in new money. And so I thought I'd start doing this and see where it goes. It may be the only one I do. Excuse me while I scratch my ear. I will give just a very brief bit of technical information. Oh no, I've taken the drugs upstairs. Something called, I think, metformin. I may have that wrong. I will put words on here to correct it, if I have. And at the moment I'm waiting to discover whether I get the side effects that they can have, which is the shits and or vomiting. So far so good. Took an hour ago, nothing happened yet. And my doctor is quite sensibly, gradually doing the whole dosage thing rather than dumping me straight into the 2 tablets twice a day. So this week it's 1 tablet a day. Next week it becomes 1 tablet morning and evening a day. And the week after that, I'll have to double check this, but I think then I can go on to the full dose if I haven't sort of, collapsed with massive amounts of vomiting and diarrhea or any other side effects that might occur. With any luck, I will get some technical stuff. Bear with me just a moment. So I've just realised that the computer I need for looking things up is a computer I'm using to record this. That was really well planned, because as you can see, I've literally spent no expense at all on this. So I'm just going to pause this and look some bits and bobs up for the technically minded among you. So for the technically minded, my initial blood test, which I not one done at the hospital, but after I went to my GP for the first time after, was 54, I think it's millimoles per mole, a mole being a sciencey unit of measurement, and above 48 is considered diagnostic of type 2 diabetes, or diabetes mellitus as it says on the test results. I don't know if they draw a distinction between type 2 and type 1 for that purpose. When I did the repeat test a couple of weeks ago, that had fallen to 52, which was possibly a consequence of me, pretty well cutting sugar out of my diet, trying to game the test, but it turns out it's not that easy. So it's still diagnostic, and hence I had to go back. And what's next, in broad terms, is Milton Keynes Hospital will take me along to one of their specialist service thingies, and technical term there, and check my eyes in particular for retina damage, and I think there's stuff to do with your feet, because there's a thing called that can mess up the nerves in your toes, which will be very tiresome. I use the word tiresome and far too much, don't I? So that's the sort of purely technical bit of it. And I completely forgot to look up the medication. Bear with me just a moment. Yes, metformin is the medication I'm on. So I don't have to take insulin, and maybe will never have to, assuming I keep the sort of new discipline that my life's going to require to stop all this happening. And the thing is that I'm not afraid of, Dr. Google or the Dr. DuckDuckGo, because I try to avoid using Google. But if you don't deal with it, diabetes can be seriously nasty. And if you do deal with it, then it's going to be less nasty, no matter how tiresome it is. So that's my way forward at the moment. Not entirely sure where it goes from here. And I will doubtless be a bit more confessional in future, as the irritatedness of having to do things I'm not really used to doing, and generally having to get my shit together a bit to deal with it. That can be challenging. So let's do a bit of public therapy. No, let's not do that. That would be silly. I'm going to sign off there because I've run out of things to say. Anything that occurs to me will come in a future video. All right. So this is the start of my journey. No, oh God, did I really say journey? I was going to try and avoid all those bloody cliches. This is where I'm at with my type 2 diabetes diagnosis. I'm in the hands of some doctors who give me confidence. They seem to sort of know what they're doing. Yay. And I am going to have to get my shit together. So what happens next will be revisited. I'm not sure whether I'll do this weekly, monthly, or whether this will ever be just the only one I do, but let's take it from here.